everyone, Kelly here, and today I wanted to do a try chapter tag that was specifically for hard-hitting contemporaries. I wanted to kind of take some of the books that had been on my TBR for a long time, give them a try, see if I was still interested, stuff like that. And one of the ones I have a hard time picking up is like kind of hard-hitting, emotional contemporaries, because sometimes I just want a fluffy read, and even though I enjoy like hard-hitting contemporaries when I read them usually, I have a hard time getting motivated to pick them up because I know they're gonna like be like a gut punch or just be hard to read for whatever the subject matter is. So I picked out, I usually do 5 when I do a try chapter, but I actually had 6 that were all ones that I was interested in trying out, but that had been sitting on my shelf for a while because I was afraid of the emotional impact. So I'm going to show you those 6 books. I'm gonna try a chapter from each, update you on what I feel. And when I do a try a chapter tag, I like to actually, before I post the video, I like to actually finish the book so I can give you my final thoughts. So this video might not go out right away because whatever one I pick will probably take me a couple days to read and finish before I can finish the video. But I just like to do that so that I can give you kind of like my opinion at that moment, whether I made a good choice. So let me show you the 6 books and what makes them kind of hard-hitting, or at least from what I know about them. The first book is All American Boys by Jason Reynolds and Brendan Keeley. So I think this is a story that has 2 perspectives, one white teenager and one black teenager, and I believe the black boy is accused of stealing or something like that, and the police treat him kind of cruelly, and the white teenager sees it, and it's kind of like the tale from both of, or not tale, but like the story from both of their perspectives, and how that differs, and like the feelings around that. So I feel like this is going to be really hard to read because it is so like current of the way black teens, especially black male teens especially, are treated right now with suspicion and things like that. And so I think this will be heartbreaking but really important story to be reading. And then I have I'll Give You the Sun by Jandy Nelson, and this is about 2 twins who I believe haven't talked to each other in several years, and we're hearing from both twins, one in the past and one in the present, and kind of what happened to break them apart. I don't actually know what this is really about, but I hear a lot of people saying it's just really emotional and a lot of dark topics happen in this book. I don't know what they are, but I just hear a lot of people say it's very emotional. And so I just never pick it up because of that. And then I have My Name is Leon by Kit DeWall, and this is about 2 brothers, and both of them I think were in foster care, but the brother that looks white was adopted, and the one that has darker skin wasn't, and is put in like either foster care or in like a home or something like that, and kind of what happens to that brother and their relationship and stuff like that. I've been putting this off because I have like such compassion for kids in the foster care system that I feel like this is going to be really hard for me to read. And then the next one is One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and this one is completely like emotional, is why I haven't read this. And this is about a woman who is married, her husband disappears, he's presumed dead, so she moves on, gets engaged, and then her husband comes back. So then it's like stuck between her old love and her new love, and that just sounds like a lose-lose situation. So that is why I put it off. But so many people love Taylor Jenkins Reid, I wanted to give that one a try. I also have Written in the Stars by Aisha Saeed, and this one is about an arranged marriage, like a girl who her parents want her to be in an arranged marriage, but then she's in love with somebody else. And I had heard Kayla from Books and Lala talk about this recently, and saying that it got pretty hard to read, hard situations. And then the last one is Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng, and so many people love this book. It was really popular, but one of the reasons I've been putting it off because I know it deals with adoption and being an adoptive mom. I feel like this is going to be a hard one to read, and that's why I've kind of been avoiding it, even though I purposely bought it when it first came out because I really wanted to read it, and I bought the hardcover full price and everything, and then have just had it sitting there for a year because I'm afraid of the topic. And it's like, why am I afraid of these books? It's ridiculous. All these books, when I hear about them from other booktubers, I hear amazing things about them, so I should just give them a try. And that's why I'm going to do the chapter. It'll push me, I'll see which ones really grab me and I want to continue with. Okay, so I decided to start with one of the shorter chapters. So Little Fires Everywhere only had, I think, like 8 pages in the first chapter, so I figured that'll go fast. And I am already intrigued because it's one of those where it starts in the future. So it starts like present day, I believe, and then then chapter 2 will go back a year ago, maybe. I think I just read the first sentence of the second chapter. Yeah, so then second chapter says the previous June. So we're hearing what happening now, and so that means there's all these characters being introduced. We're hearing that things have happened recently and stuff like that. So it makes me want to keep reading whenever books do that, when they kind of start with the present and then go back. That is a really good hook, for me at least. And I've always kind of been intrigued by the title of this book, and in the very first chapter you find out why it's called Little Fires Everywhere. So that was fun to just right away get hit with that and what that means. I mean, I'm sure there's more of a deep metaphorical statement as well throughout the book, but there's a literal reason why it's called Little Fires Everywhere in the first chapter. So I am definitely intrigued by this one. So we'll see how the others end up. I also think it's fun because it takes place in Shaker Heights, Ohio, which is a suburb of Cleveland, and I live in Ohio. I grew up about 45 minutes away from Cleveland, so very familiar with that area. So that was interesting. So yeah, I'm gonna try out another book and then give you an update. So yes, it's the next day, and things just got chaotic yesterday after one book, so I put everything away and we're trying again on Sunday. So the second book I just read a chapter of was Written in the Stars, and this was only 8 pages, so it was very brief, but it was very casual the way it was written, so I feel like I could easily read this quickly, just the way the dialogue and the way her writing is very easy to consume. Pretty much the first chapter we're just getting introduced to the main character Nyla, and kind of learning right away about some of her Pakistani culture, about her parents being very conservative and wanting to fit into the cultural norms from their group of people, and not letting Nyla kind of interact with boys or kind of, I don't know, general American culture, things like that. So yeah, so we're establishing right away, I think because this is a short book, she's establishing right away the issue that Nyla's going through, and that is that she has a boyfriend, secret from her parents, and kind of jumping right into that. So it seems like this would be a fast read in the way that style goes, but since we're jumping right into that, it's probably going to get kind of emotional pretty quick because she's already established kind of where the struggle is going. Well, I guess I'm getting all of the short chapters out of the way because my name is Leon. The first chapter is only 6 pages. This is much smaller font, so it took longer than the 8 pages of the last one. And this one, like I had said, was about 2 brothers. They're half brothers, and so one is darker skinned and one is lighter skinned. And just the first chapter is right when his baby brother, what's his baby brother's name? Jake, is born. So it's Leon visiting his brother for the first time in the hospital, meeting him. Their mother is still there. I mean, we know from the description that the mother is going to leave and they're going to end up being in foster care. So I guess we're just starting at the beginning about him establishing his love for his brother and his need to protect his baby brother. Leon is 9 years old at the beginning, and he is staying the night at his aunt's house while his mom and the baby are getting ready to go home. So that's all it is. We're just establishing the family and all that. It's This is definitely like more literary writing. You could tell it's more adult writing, but it's still easy. You know how sometimes literary fiction can kind of like get a little bit to get into, but this one just seems to flow really nice. In the first chapter, I'm really interested because at this point, the mother seems really involved with the kids. So I'm just curious, knowing from the synopsis that she's going to leave, I'm just curious of what is it that causes her to leave. Is it just having a baby, you know, 9 years after the other one? It's too hard. I don't know. Like, I don't know what leads to them being in foster care. I'm kind of expecting that something heartbreaking is going to happen soon to lead to that event. But right now, we're just getting to know Leon, and he's just the sweetest little 9-year-old boy that just wants to protect his baby brother and be with him and talk to him and share his things with him, and it just is establishing him as a really sweet character. So I am definitely interested in continuing this book. I just finished One True Loves, the first chapter, and her writing style is just so easy to consume. This is the third book that I will be reading from her, but the other two are more historical fiction because they were the, Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo and Daisy Jones and the Six. So I thought, well, maybe her more contemporary books will feel different, but they don't. They're just so easily consumable. Like, it was only 6 pages, so it would have been fast anyways, but it was like super fast. I just like read that in like no time at all, and she had me hooked from the very beginning. In the first chapter, it almost feels like a prologue. She's having dinner at a restaurant with her family. It's her dad's birthday. She's there with her fiance. We're just kind of getting to know the people in her family and her life. And then as they're leaving the restaurant, she gets a phone call, and the voice on the phone is her husband, who she has thought has been dead. And it's just that moment of like where your life splits into the before and after, which is exactly what she's talking about. And so now we're like just thrown right into the drama and feeling of that, and it really compels me to want to read more. All right, so I just finished the first chapter in All American Boys. This one was longer. It was 25 pages in. This one is definitely one of the ones I'm gonna have a hard time with. I don't know if I could pick this one right now. I'm like even angry just after reading those 25 pages. I am kind of furious. The first chapter is from Rashad, who is a teenager. I think he's a junior, and we're just learning about his life, what's going on, and then at the end is when we get to the part where he is shopping in a convenience store. A chain of events happens, like a woman trips over him. He has his bag open next to like a piece of merchandise because he was getting his phone out, you know, innocent things that somebody put together in the wrong way, and a police officer just starts beating him up. And it's just a really hard thing to read, and it just makes me so angry because he's a child. I mean, I know he's probably looks, sorry, she's getting my stuff. He probably looks like an adult, being a like, you know, probably 16, 17-year-old kid. But that is a child, and for an adult man to be aggressive, I don't care if you're a cop, that's still child abuse, to just be attacking a child without like finding out what's really happening first. I know that that's probably the point of this book, is to like get you angry and get upset about the issue, but it's just gonna be a hard one for me to read, so I probably can't pick this one right now, because I'm just even angry just reading that first chapter. So I need to I definitely want to read this though, because I think it is an important story to be reading about, especially in our current culture right now. And I haven't even gotten to the other perspective yet, so I would like to continue this, but I don't think I can pick this will be my pick for this time, because I need a little space from that, and then when I pick it back up, it might be one that I ended up picking up in like spurts instead of reading straight through, because it will make me so upset. All right, I did the last book, I'll Give You the Sun. This one was long. The first chapter was 32 pages, so it took me a little while to get through it. And I am really compelled by the story. The story alternates between the two twins. Noah is in the past when they're 13, and Jude is 3 years later when they're 16. The first chapter was from Noah, so they were younger. And so we're just meeting the twins, learning about their lives at the point of their 13. Noah is amazing at art and drawing, and so there's a lot about art in this. And yeah, I was just compelled by their story and their relationship. It seems like they have a very unique relationship. I guess all twins have some kind of unique relationship. And I am really compelled, but the chapters are so long that I don't know if I'm going to pick this. I don't think I'm going to pick this one because the chapters are so long. I know it seems like a weird reason, but for the sake of this video, I want to be able to read this book quickly enough to get this out within the next few days. So I'm not going to pick this one, but I definitely will read this. Actually, all 6 of these books I want to read soon because I enjoyed the first chapter of all of them, which is great because these have all been sitting on my shelf for some of them close to a year. So I'm glad that I enjoyed all of them and want to pick them up. But this is not the one I'm going to pick. I'm also, like I said, not going to pick All American Boys now. That might be one I take a while to read. I think this one, even though I really enjoyed the first chapter, I definitely want to read this book. I don't know if I want to pick this now because it has something that is going to, a topic that's going to be a lot more personal to me, that I'm a little like worried about getting through it quickly. Like it might be one that takes me a little while to read. I'm also going to take out Little Fires Everywhere for that same reason because it involves adoption. This might be one I end up having to put down, and plus of all of them, it took me the longest to read. Like it's the one that's written most like literary fiction, so we'll hold on that one. So now we're down to these 2. I think these both will read very quickly, and I think that I'm going to pick One True Loves, and the reason I'm going to do that is because I've been putting this off because I think just the whole idea of choosing between 2 men you love is hard, but then also because Murphy Napier, when she reviewed this, she gave it a really low rating. I think she gave it 1 or 2 stars. She really didn't like it, and so I was like, oh no, now I'm worried. But she and I don't have exactly the same taste in books, especially contemporaries, so I'm kind of curious to see what I think of it, and I think this will read really fast. All right, guys, full disclosure, this update, I'm halfway through the book, or a little over halfway, and I'm just gonna tell you the truth that it is 3 months after I started this book. So I did all those like previous clips, my triad chapter at the end of September as part of the Contemporary-thon. I figured I would read this book right away. But the same thing that has been putting this book off for like 2 years for me kept me from picking it up, and that is that like I'm just really anxious to find out about like choosing. Like I just feel like this would be such a hard thing to choose between like your husband that's come back and your current fiance. And so like I just kept feeling like anxiety every time I tried to pick this book up. And so I put it off for a long time, and in the like 3 months, that has happened, because now it's mid-December, I have, made it, what is that, halfway, is like, I made it to 200 pages. And the thing is that when I pick it up, I am enjoying the writing. I get into it and read a huge chunk. And so like really those 200 pages have only been 3 sittings. Like I'll sit down, I'll read like a huge chunk, put it down for quite a while, like a month, and then pick it back up, read a huge chunk, and then put it down. And I don't know what it is, because obviously I like the writing and everything. The story is compelling. I'm just like super anxious about the ending. And so, yeah, it's been 3 months, but I do not want to take this into 2020. So I've told myself it has to be done by December 23rd. So I could post it by Monday, December 23rd. But yeah, I am enjoying it. I'm enjoying her writing. Her writing is really easy to read and compelling. It just is just this anxiety still of like who she's going to choose. A lot of the first half of this book is us in the past learning about her relationship with her husband and then her relationship with her current fiance. So I've gotten attached to both of these characters, which I'm sure she's doing on purpose, because obviously our main character, Emma, is attached to both of them, and makes it even harder to make the decision. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking. Next time you see me, I will have this book done. All right, so I finished it, and it's only the day after I did the last clip, so I did finish it that day. I ended up having the audiobook from my library and just zooming through it the rest of the day because it like started to get really compelling and like pulled me in, and I was just sucked in through the end. And I actually ended up really enjoying this. For the amount of like anxiety that this created in me, I ended up having like good feelings about it and liked it. I'm not gonna give it a full 5 because like of all that like anxiety I felt. I just don't feel like I could say it's like a favorite or anything like that, but definitely a solid 4-star read, and I'm glad that I finally got around to this. I think that the discussion about love and like past loves and current loves and all that stuff was really interesting. I think Taylor Jenkins Reid just has a way of really taking like a human experience and just giving all the feelings behind it and like really making your heart like break and crush. I liked it. I would recommend it if you don't mind feeling like really anxious through an entire book and everything. But I liked the conclusion. I liked where she was going with the conversation about love, and yeah, I would recommend it. I enjoyed it. I'm glad that I finally did this triad chapter, finished this book, and I feel a success because I had put this off for almost 2 years, and I'm glad that I finally have gotten around to reading it. So I will talk to you next time. Bye.